Hello, good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss clauses. As earlier we have discussed clauses, today we are going to discuss subordinate clause. What is subordinate clause? A subordinate clause has a subject and verb, but unlike an independent clause, it cannot stand by itself. Is as we have discussed coordinate clause is independent clause, but subordinate clause is always dependent. It's also called independent clause. It's a dependent clause. Subordinate clause को dependent clause भी कहा जाता है. Subordinate clause are joined by relative pronouns and some by subordinating conjunctions. It is important. That's how it is joined. It's joined by relative pronouns and subordinating conjunctions. First of all, we have to understand what are relative pronouns. Then we have to understand what are subordinating conjunctions. Through these things, we can understand what is subordinate clause. पहले हम जाएंगे प्रोनाउन रिलेटिव प्रोनाउंस क्या होते हैं. रिलेटिव प्रोनाउंस के थ्रू ये जुड़ते हैं. रिलेटिव प्रोनाउंस आर who, whom, that, which, what, whose, etc. Means if the two sentences or two clauses are joined by these relative pronouns, this is an this is a subordinate clause. This is a dependent clause. Okay. अगर इनके कंजंक्शन आते हैं तो वो सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज हो जाएगा. सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज रिलेटिव प्रोनाउन से जोड़ेंगे और subordinating conjunctions. Remember it. So याद रखना है. So what are subordinating conjunctions? Subordinating conjunctions क्या होते हैं? Subordinating conjunctions are, write down, that, what, how, where, after, before, when, so, until, while, as soon as, whenever, by the time, if, whether, in case, provided, unless, even if, in the event, though, although, even though, whereas, as, since, because, so, in order that. There are few of subordinating conjunctions. You have to remember these conjunctions because without these conjunctions you cannot understand subordinate clause. Subordinate clause बगैर इसके समझ में नहीं आएगा. You have to write down these conjunctions and you have to memorize it and you have to understand it. You have to learn it by heart. Okay? If इसको याद रखना, याद करके तब समझ में आएगा. There are three types of subordinate clauses. There are three types of तीन तरह के सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज होते हैं. सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज पहले सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज को डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज भी कहते हैं. सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज को पहचानते कैसे हैं? These subordinate clause are joined by relative pronouns and subordinate conjunctions. What are relative pronouns? बता दिया. What are subordinate conjunctions? We discussed. And now we are going to discuss types of subordinate clause. Subordinate clause कितने तरह के होते हैं? Number one, noun clause. Number two, adjective or relative clause. Number three, adverb clause. तीन तरह के subordinate clause होते हैं. Noun clause, adjective clause और adverb clause. Let's discuss noun clause. Noun clause होता क्या है? A noun clause is not a complete statement. Noun clause complete statement नहीं होता and it functions simply like a noun. It functions simply like a noun. The most frequently used conjunctions are that and what. That and what are conjunctions which are used in noun class. That and what आता है तो इसे पहचानेंगे noun clause है. For example, tell me what she sings. Okay, understand? Here, what? There is a conjunction what. You have to know, yes, please look at the sentence. Tell me what she sings. There are two clauses. One is main clause, another is subordinate clause. Tell me is principal clause or main clause. What she sings, what this? This is subordinate clause or dependent clause. What? There is a conjunction what? क्या हो गया? This is noun clause because what conjunction is for noun clause. Number two, I know that he is intelligent. Second clause, there is conjunction that. I know, this is principal clause, and that he is intelligent is subordinate clause. इसको dependent clause भी कहते हैं, इसको subordinate clause भी कहते हैं. Okay, understood? I hope that he will succeed. There, I hope this is main clause. That he will succeed is dependent clause, is subordinate clause. इस तरह से जो भी सेंटेंस दैट आएगा. ओके. I think noun clause, understood noun clause. If there are conjunction what and that, you have to you can understand easily that this is noun clause. Sometimes they are also conjunction. They are also come under the category of relative clause, but you can understand it easily. Adjective clause. What is adjective clause? Adjective or relative clauses. The adjective clauses which are introduced by relative pronoun or relative clauses, relative adverb are known as relative clauses. Adjective clause को relative clause भी कहते हैं. Adjective clause को relative clause भी कहते हैं. Adjective clauses which are introduced by a relative pronoun or relative adverb are known as relative clauses. Relative pronoun और relative adverb क्या होते हैं? ये relative adjective ये आपको पीछे बता देगा. Relative pronouns. Relative pronouns are who, whom, that, which, what, whose, etc. ये relative pronouns है. Relative pronouns, if there are relative pronouns, it will make relative clause. और second is adjective clause. relative pronoun आते हैं तो relative clause बनेंगे. दूसरा नाम इसका adjective clause बनेगा. relative clause या adjective clause बन जाएगा. Okay. Look at the example. For example, I met Rahul who is intelligent. I met Rahul. This is main clause or principal clause. Who is intelligent. This is dependent clause or subordinate clause. Relative clause. I met Rahul who is intelligent. The relative noun who. The two clauses are joined by who. The guavas which are large are sweet. The guavas which are large are sweet. The conjunction, the relative noun which is the guavas which are large. It is joined by which are sweet. Actual sentence. The main clause is the guavas are sweet. In between there is a clause which are large. The guavas which are large are sweet. The main clause is the guavas are sweet. समझ में आ रहा है? guavas sweet हैं. तो guava which guavas which are large. 3. Kriti, whose mother is the chief guest, is my friend. Sentence. There is a relative pronoun whose. Okay. So if they are joined by relative pronoun or they are joined by subordinate conjunctions, it is subordinate clause. Okay. Adjective clause, relative clause, के लिए आपको समझना होगा कि रिलेटिव प्रोनाउंस क्या है, उनको याद कीजिए। एंड नाउन क्लॉज के दो कंजंक्शंस, दैट आर व्हाट एंड अदर आर फॉर एडवर्ब क्लॉजेस। Suppose adverbial clauses, since they are lengthy, we'll discuss in next class. There are many conjunctions for adverb clauses. Apart from noun relative pronouns and that are what, there are many conjunctions which come under the category of adverb clauses. We'll discuss in next class. This is very important topic. Adverb clause is very important topic. If you have understood clauses and you haven't understood adverb clause, you will face difficulty in other competitive exams. आपको समझ में नहीं आया एडवर्ब क्लॉज तो प्रॉब्लम आएगी। एडवर्ब क्लॉज को हम नेक्स्ट क्लास में डिटेल में पढ़ाएंगे। लेट्स रिवाइज इट क्विकली। चलो इसको हम पढ़ लेते हैं, रिवाइज करते हैं जो पढ़ा गया आज। सबऑर्डिनेट और डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज क्या होते हैं? सबऑर्डिनेट और डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज कि उसमें सब्जेक्ट वर्ब होंगे और सबऑर्डिनेट और डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज ये हमेशा डिपेंड होता है दूसरी क्लॉज पर, मेन क्लॉज पर डिपेंड। इफ़ देयर इज़ नो मेन क्लॉज इट विल ऑलवेज बी इनकम्प्लीट। अनलाइक एन इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज इट कैनॉट स्टैंड बाय इटसेल्फ, ये अपने आप की मीनिंग अपने आप में कंप्लीट नहीं होता। Subordinate clause are joined by relative pronouns and some by subordinate conjunctions. ये बता दिए subordinate conjunction subordinate relative pronouns से जोड़ते हैं। If they are joined by relative pronouns, it will be relative clause or adjective clause. If they are joined by subordinate conjunctions, it will be noun clause or it will be adverb clause. Noun clause के लिए हमने आपको बताया कि there are two conjunctions that are what that will make noun clause. It's very simple. I have given two examples here. And if there are other conjunctions, they will come under the category of adverb clause. Adverb clause हम next class में पढ़ेंगे। Suppose whereas, though, although, as, since, because, so, in order that, so that, provided, in case, if, they are all conjunctions for adverb clause. We'll discuss it later. ठीक, for today it's okay. Thank you.